Joining us now, member of the Foreign Relations and Judiciary Committees, Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. We'll start with the outcome of the meeting, although I want to get to the Donald Trump Jr. revelations. How did the Putin-Trump meeting go, Senator?
Well, Mika, I think on this question of confronting Vladimir Putin on his interference in our 2016 election, Donald Trump stepped up to the plate and whiffed. The idea that we're going to simply agree to disagree and move on, I think, steps aside from confronting the very real challenge, which is that Vladimir Putin and his Russian intelligence agencies fully intend to interfere in our next election in 2018 and 2020. Former FBI Director Comey testified to the Senate that given that Russia has paid no serious price at all, we can expect them to attempt and probably succeed in interfering in our next elections. Imagine how much stronger that confrontation would have been if President Trump had presented Putin with a signed law that imposed tougher sanctions on Russia for their inappropriate and unacceptable interference in our election.
Okay, so it didn't go well.
Didn't go well.
No. Okay. Now to the revelations about Donald Trump Jr. meeting with the Russian lawyer, saying it was about adoption, and then making another statement saying that it was about damaging information about Hillary Clinton, but then it didn't turn out to be that, so they ended the meeting. Just from his statements alone, what do you take away, especially as a member of the Judiciary Committee?
Well, for a group of folks who have nothing to hide about their interactions with Russia, they certainly seem to have been hiding a lot. The idea that these three individuals, the president's son, the president's son-in-law, and the president's campaign manager, organized a meeting in order to get the fruits of cyber hacking into their opponent's campaign is strongly suggestive of potentially criminal activity. And the idea that they failed to previously report this despite being required to do so suggests that there may well be some inappropriate action, some conspiracy, or some obstruction. Now, I can't reach those conclusions as to whether it is or isn't because I don't have that evidence in front of me. But it certainly suggests, based on the New York Times reporting, that this is the sort of thing that Bob Mueller should be looking at closely. And if we can do so without interfering with Bob Mueller's independent investigation, we should do so on the Judiciary Committee as well.
Okay, Elise Jordan.
Senator Coons, you've spoken about your concern that Russia is attempting to isolate the United States. And Republicans have historically been concerned about a foreign policy of isolationism. Yet we're seeing, this, switch where Russia is somewhat successfully putting us more in isolation. Do you think that's what we saw this past week at the G20?
I do. Donald Trump's policy of America first is increasingly turning out to mean America alone. And I'll remind you that President Trump's strategy for how to confront North Korea's aggressive nuclear weapons program, one of our top national security challenges, is to try to organize world pressure on China to get China to put pressure on North Korea. If that's the goal, then the outcome of many of the meetings and interactions that President Trump had with the G20 did not advance that goal at all. His withdrawal from the Paris Agreement, his trumpeting nationalism and an economic isolationism, frankly, did not go over well at the G20. And the final communique makes it clear that on some key issues, the United States is increasingly isolated.
Yeah, and the tweets about a collaborative cybersecurity, what can you comment?
I mean, that's beyond puzzling. That's like tweeting out that he'd like to fight drug abuse in America by starting a new drug interdiction conference with El Chapo. The idea that somehow the right way to fight cybersecurity is to form some joint coalition with exactly our most capable cyber adversary, it defies description.
Yeah. All right,
Senator Chris Coons, thank you.
Thanks a lot. With us now.